Hello, welcome everyone to this episode that will be recorded in English. To all new listeners, I'm Gabby, half Hungarian, half Polish person living in Copenhagen. I moved to Denmark around 4 years ago to pursue my career, and I must admit I fell in love immediately with the Danish way of living, so I am still here, loving the life here. This podcast, Fair Case Podcast, is a show focused on self development where I invite guests and we talk about their challenges, their decisions, and my favorite topic, personal values. Until this time, Fair Case Podcast was only recorded in Hungarian language with the goal to spread awareness to Hungarians about the importance of self growth. But I quickly realized that I must overcome my insecurity of, speaking English and not speaking my mother tongue and try to seek for valuable conversations outside my country. So here I am, experimenting and bringing these conversations to a wider audience. Enjoy this episode where I will be talking to Nastya, a Ukrainian diplomat living in Botswana, about finding ourselves. If you like this episode, then please follow or subscribe. It means a lot to me that what I do is valuable for you and it keeps me motivated to produce all these episodes and keep doing this. You can listen to Faircase Podcast on all platforms, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and you can also watch the video recordings on YouTube. So, welcome everyone to Faircase Podcast. This is a very special episode because I'm speaking in English, and this is the first episode where I have a guest coming from Ukraine. And here I am with Nastya, my very beautiful inside and outside friend. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Gabi. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast and this first episode ever done in English. And I hope it will be one of many, many, many that you're going to make and attract international audience. So it's my pleasure to be here today.
Let me ask the first question. You are coming from Ukraine and you moved to first Namibia and now you just recently moved to Botswana. What made you want to move to Africa?
Actually, it was love. Love to travel, love to explore, love to see the world and check new destinations, but primarily my relationship, because my future husband was living in Namibia and he used to work for the Embassy of France, and to finally settle down and start living together and go away from long distance relationship, I decided to move and start my life with him in Namibia. And this country actually turned my vision on Africa upside down, because I discovered that this is such a beautiful continent, and I was speechless because it was so beautiful. People were very kind. Sun was shining all the time. You were eating like great food, like you were traveling. There is a safari, desert, ocean, pink lakes, and all of this is just 3 hours, 4 hours away from you, and you can like work and go there on a weekend, do camping, go lodging, and it was just like a land full of opportunities from which I didn't want to go. And unfortunately the war started in Ukraine, so I had to stay longer away from home, and now we moved to Botswana. It's been actually 3 weeks since we have moved to a new country, and it's because of my job. And it's funny enough because, as I said earlier, my husband was working at the embassy, and now I was doing business, and now we switched roles, and now he's doing business and I'm working at the newly established embassy of Ukraine. So yeah, that's what happened and why I moved and stayed in Africa.
See, this is like so nice because that's like probably also connected to you why he also chose to try himself out in business, and probably he had this kind of extra thing about for you about working maybe in an embassy.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we help each other with our expertise, and actually like such partners in crime, and you're like partners in everything. So it helps a lot to share and to have such backgrounds for both of us.
You also mentioned that you never thought about, in a way, moving to Africa. What was your first impression or feeling before even going to Africa or visiting Africa about, let's say, Namibia?
It was a bit biased because, as the only child in my family, of course, I'm very close to my parents, and you can imagine how hard it was for my parents to even realize that their only daughter would want to move 10,000 kilometers away and settle down with a guy who didn't propose yet. And, like for them, it was quite an interesting way of understanding like how my life will evolve. But unfortunately, I feel like in Europe, we don't have that much information about Africa. We know about its history. We know what was happening like in past century. We know like some like most popular destinations like South Africa, maybe Kenya, Tanzania, and Egypt, Morocco. But the rest is like unknown place for us, and many people don't treat Africa like separate countries, but just like one continent where everyone is the same, everything is similar. We don't know much about, and it's like extreme poverty, it's dangerous, malaria, mosquitoes, so just don't go there. But I'm actually happy that despite all of these facts, despite all of these comments that we hear in Europe, I still managed to make this step and go and see with my own eyes. And as I said, yeah, it was totally like what you expect and reality. But usually we say like expectations better and reality worse. But here, expectation worse and reality was so much better. And that's why That's why actually my husband started his travel agency to make people come to Namibia, to Africa, to discover this continent, to discover this land, because it's one of the most beautiful places I have ever been to, and I've been to a lot of places, I must say. So it's totally worth discovering for yourself. And I think we can even say it's about many things in our life, not only about like countries, but like don't blindly trust what other people say about trying a new activity, trying a new country, trying a new food. You still need to try it for yourself to make your own opinion. And I think it's the rule that I always try to adhere to, like make my own opinion, no matter what other people say. And I feel like it's given like a lot of spices, a lot of flavors to your life when you try it on your own and make your own opinion.
Yeah, and it's totally true. I agree, and I think that living in this digital world, we are always surrounded by all those people traveling to, all these typical places, Spain, France, and I have no clue where else. But we just see this kind of influence, and wherever others go, we also want to go. And I think especially Namibia is something that is slowly, in a way, has its presence in YouTube, and all these European travelers and YouTubers are also willing to go there and are interested. And then also Botswana, when I was preparing, it's such a very versatile and interesting country, and I also read that they have their local language, the Tswani, right?
Yes, it's
And then
Wana.
I also, like, when I was reading further and further, I saw that no, they have way more other local languages, which is so, so, so interesting.
Yeah, it's very true because like it consists of many tribes, that were formed into a nation, and it's extremely beautiful that they managed to preserve their culture despite all the challenges that they were facing with colonization and their dark history. So it's beautiful that they managed to preserve it, to keep it, and to have this diversity nowadays, the one that you were talking about.
While living in Africa, you have organized first or the first Ukrainian movie festival in Namibia. How was it?
Yes, actually, I would say it was the first, but I hope there will be many more Ukrainian festivals in the future to come. We will go back again to the reason why I did it, because of the war outbreak in Ukraine, I realized that being here in sunny, peaceful Namibia, it was making me feel the guilt that I was not experiencing the same kind of troubles as my fellow Ukrainians, and I felt that I needed to do something to help Ukraine like gain international support, especially like from Africa. And since Namibia was abstaining in the UN General Assembly votes, I understand that actually like people don't know much about Ukraine, and like including politicians, including people who make these decisions. Which is understandable because it's super far. And as I said, in Europe, we don't know much about Africa, about daily life. And same true for them, you know, they don't know much about us. And in order to close this gap, I decided to organize the first Ukrainian film festival because I adore movies the for the action that they bring to our life. Because you know, when we read just information, we learn facts, which transforms into knowledge, and for us it's just statistics that we easily forget and move on to another subject. But when we encounter a piece of art, if it's if we're listening to a song or watching a piece of art like a painting, or if we're watching a movie, it goes directly to our heart, because you know our serotonin level goes up and we're more engaged, we're more interested, and it leaves a bigger imprint in our minds, and we start to be empathetic about the thing that we just learned about the cause, about the thing that we just faced. And because I know from my own example, you know, when I watch movies about some historical events, I think I will remember the story for the whole life. Unlike when I read it in like history books, I'm like, yeah, it's very interesting, but I don't see how I can remember this longer than one day. So this moving pictures actually is super powerful, and having this knowledge in mind, I realized that actually showing our movies and making a festival would benefit Ukraine a lot. And we were showing four prominent Ukrainian movies and having like a panel discussion afterwards about what we have just watched, how it impacts us on nowadays. And, you know, it was doing miracles, because people who were coming to this festival after they watched these pieces, they were coming to me and saying like, wow, I actually didn't know, guys, that you have your own language that is different from Russian. I didn't know that actually this and that happened. And, you know, they were discovering us. They were discovering our culture, our language, the way we look, what we eat, how we talk, our music, our landscapes. And they were saying, I want to help, like when the war is over, I want to come and help you rebuild the country. I will plant a sunflower in my garden to support Ukraine. I will read news more thoroughly because now I'm interested in the cause. And, you know, all of this was like a huge reward for us, because that's exactly what we were striving for, and that's exactly what we wanted. And it just proved one more time how powerful is cinema. That's why organizing this film festival actually like gave me understanding how soft power works, like both in diplomacy, both in regular life. And yeah, it actually like benefited us a lot. We even collected some donations that we sent for humanitarian relief. So yeah, if you watch movies, you will never be the same after after these 2 hours that you spent.
It is, I can imagine it was totally like very impactful what you've done in Namibia. And we also talked about, and I know about you that you tried yourself out in making movies. Now you are working at an embassy. You also have like small businesses. You help your husband's business. So my question is that, what's behind these kind of changes and switches in your life regarding your career?
Yes, Gabi, it's very true. I have tried many paths and tried many things because I'm very curious about everything that's happening around me, and I find life so interesting. And I cannot imagine just like sitting at one place and not discovering the world. That's why the same like applies for my career. Mm, because I started working at first having an internship in at the parliament, then I was working in beer companies. Then I realized that I'm actually not the biggest beer drinker, so maybe it's not what I have to do my whole life. And then I switched to digital transformation. Then I tried to go into education because I'm very passionate about learning new things, teaching, and tried like directing movies because, as I say, like I was very passionate about cinema, and now ended up in diplomacy, working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and helping Ukraine build like an image in Africa. And yes, it's quite versatile, not very linear, but I think that's what makes it interesting. That you never settle down when you feel not completely fulfilled, when you feel that there is something bigger waiting for you, and you understand that actually you are not fulfilled. You don't um, think that this is the purpose that you were made for, that you were brought for to this life. And for me, I understood that one of the biggest like purposes, or like the purpose in my life, is to be standing on the shoulders of the giants. uh, Quite famous quote. The giants are the people, our ancestors who were before us, building this world and improving it so that us now can live in this beautiful environment and enjoy all the commodities that we have right now. And I just want to be standing on their shoulders for future generations, for them to be enjoying even more, for them to realize how beautiful this world is, also like due to the efforts of previous generations. So I want, like to leave a mark in this world, to for the world to be a better place. Even though it sounds cheesy, but I really feel that I want to contribute in a way. And as I was trying different jobs, I understood that I was doing a lot of things for Ukraine as a volunteer. I was not getting paid for this, but I was receiving a huge pleasure promoting the interest of Ukraine, telling the world about us, and forming new relationship, new ties, bilateral relationship development, etc. And I realized, wow, if I'm doing this for free and it brings me so much pleasure, why not transform it into a full-time job when you will get paid and you will have more resources and more network to do what you want to do? And that's how I think about like finding what's dear to your heart in your life. It's about trying, because you would never know unless you try. We always say like, yeah, how would I find myself? What should I do? But I feel like you're not lost. So you shouldn't find yourself. You should create yourself, because no one knows better um, what you're good at, what you're made for, what makes you passionate. And neither will you know what you're passionate unless you try it. It doesn't work like this, that you wake up one day and think, okay, I want to become a chef. No, it's not happening like this. You just go to kitchen, you're hungry, you just try making something for yourself, and you're like, wow, actually it's cool. Next time I want to try even more. I want to add sesame seeds. I want to add this olive oil, and like, let's make a nice fancy salad. Then you do it for your friends. Then you do it for family gatherings, and you understand, wow, it actually drives me. It makes me like want to stay up all night, like to Google new recipes, to like master how to cook this and that. And you're like, that's crazy. That's exactly what I was meant for, what I want to do, just by trying. And that's what I was doing. I feel like my 20s, I was also like trying, because I didn't know what I want. I was studying management in university, which is quite versatile. And as we were laughing, it's
Same
about
here.
everything. Yeah, about everything and nothing in particular, because you have so many options after you graduate, but you don't know what you want to specialize in. So you just like start to narrow this selection down, down, down. And I just think that you should never be afraid to try and to be able to say no to things that make you unhappy and move on, because our life is so short. And why should you spend 1/3 of your life doing things that you don't like? No, you should like be engaged in what you do. You should like have a fire in your eyes and your heart be enlightened with what you do. That's why I was changing my jobs to find finally what I like and what I find meaningful. And that's what I really hope that people who listen to our podcast would do, or are already doing. Be fearless and know your passions, know yourself, in order to chase what you want, what you want to achieve, and never settle for less. And go until you finally understand that this is it, and I'm ready like to wake up early in the morning, go late to bed, but this is what I want to do. This is what drives me and makes me passionate. So yeah, that's the story behind all my transformations and movements.
We will get back to that. I have plenty more questions. Um, what I want to bring in, you were speaking about trying to, find yourself and finding those extra, I don't know, like finding what you are good in. And there is this Japanese concept of ikigai, and I really really like it, because it's something where like the meaning of it is like a reason for being, and this concept is referring to something that gives a person a sense of purpose, a reason for living. And it has like, there is like, you can also look it up on Wikipedia. There are like 4 different kind of areas that helps you to find this. And from this is one, basically your passion, your skills, or your skill set. Also, we can talk about finances, and that finding that what the world needs and what you can help the world to achieve something beautiful. So I think that this is something that can be and could be something helpful for others when they just want to find what could be their purpose in their life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. There are so
yeah,
many useful exercises. Yeah, sorry, Gabi. So many useful
no worries.
exercises that we can perform nowadays. And I really like also what you were mentioning, that we can remember what we were good at when we were kids, or what we loved to do, and understand that maybe if we're grown up, it doesn't mean that we cannot do it anymore. And like, just remember, ask your parents what you are good at, and write it down, and see how you can transform it into your career, into your life path. So it was a really good observation.
You touched a really good topic, because I've recently listened to a podcast episode where Robert Greene, This is a book that I haven't read yet, Mastery. I just really want to, because I listened to this Huberman podcast. It was, I think, 2 hours long, and I was fascinated by the guy. And he said something really nice, what you also mentioned, that we don't really pay attention to ourselves nowadays, and we pay attention to the outside world. And he also explained that how important it is to find what you really liked as a child. And he gave really good examples, but he also said that, for example, for him, he's a writer or author of the Mastery book. He said that for him it was words, like he was fascinated by it. So it's also something, going back a little bit to your childhood, of what you really enjoyed. Is this, were you always a curious child? So then, it can mean a lot of stuff later. And it totally makes sense later when you are in your, let's say, 30s.
Yeah, it's true. That's why, asking your parents, do you remember what I loved to do when I was a kid? Can you remind me? Actually, like talking with our parents about your childhood years can also help a lot, because naturally you don't remember everything that occurred with you in this sometimes unconscious periods of your life. So yeah, your mother, your father, your family, they know you also very well, and they can help you and assist. And I see, like, and I hear many stories how people were lost in their like mid 30s, and they were like just going back to their roots, going back to their parents, and asking questions and actually receiving their answers that were helping them to get through, to have like this breakthrough, to get forward with their life. And yeah, it can help many people.
And Nastia, do you know what your parents, what they saw in you, or how were you when you were a child?
Yeah, of course. I was asking them a lot of questions. So I was like, can you tell me how I was? Well, the definite thing, I was like super blonde and curly, and you can see it's not the case anymore. But but some things, as traits of character, of course, they stayed. They were always saying that I was curious. I was always like trying to organize people, to lead the process. I was always telling other kids, okay, let's create a dance for our parents. I will choose music. Now we do this, now we do that. And I love to organize events. I love, like, in our small circles of friends, I love to like organize what we're gonna do after this thing, after this thing. Like, I'll organize small parties for other kids, and yeah, and I love to travel because, of course, my parents had this opportunity to bring me with them, and I was always like having insomnia during our travels because I was adoring everything that was around me, and I would never want to go to bed. And I was like, okay, let's go to this restaurant, let's explore, let's go here and there. And actually, it stayed the same, didn't change. Yeah, and like such small observations that they were sharing with me actually helped me understand who I was, and helped me understand what was already in me before life and environment got to me, because it's not a secret that, of course, our environment impacts us a lot, and our education, school, university, books we read, people with whom we talk to, it impacts us daily. And I would even say that our environment makes 50% of our personality. So it's really important where you grew up, where you were living as a kid, as a teenager, because it constitutes you, in my opinion, in half who you are as a person. So it's really great to ask those questions to see who you were before you started interacting with this big, interesting, sometimes intimidating world, to understand who you really are before all of these social layers started to be put upon you.
So you just explained something about the childhood and all these social layers that we are basically growing on ourselves, like, I think, like layers of the skin. And why do you think it's important to talk about this? And have you ever been maybe affected by it, by those layers around us? Or why do you think it's important to try to go back to ourselves or who we really are in our core?
I think it is important because sometimes thoughts that we have are coming not from us, but from the things that we repeatedly were hearing all our life. You know, now it's kind of trendy, but it's cool that it's trendy to work with your own mindset and manifest things. And sometimes we say we cannot achieve certain heights and we cannot achieve things that we want because of our thoughts. And sometimes these thoughts are not even ours. We were hearing it in school, we were hearing it at family gatherings, our grandparents were repeating them. For example, it's a very common thing to have thoughts about money, that money is can only be earned with only hard work, and big money can only be earned in dirty schemes or money laundering, or like don't. I'm just like trying to remember what I was hearing as a kid, like from old
I
people
have one in
saying
my
like,
mind.
yeah, tell me.
It's I think something about, for me, humanitarian or volunteering or anything like that. Like, yeah, you can do that, but you are not saving the world and all these kind of things, or you will never make money out of it, out of, helping people, really. So that really stuck with me, I think, for several years.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's not what you believed in, it's what someone experienced once or twice in their life, made a concept out of it, thought and believed that the world is exactly like this, and started telling others how to live, what to believe in. Maybe like not on purpose, maybe just like sharing what they wanted to share, but it affects us and it impacts how we behave in the future. And that's why now we have a lot of um, life coaches who help us to break these patterns in our life, to actually see how we think, and break this mindset in order to create a new one and lay a foundation of a healthy one, the one like ecological one, the one that will help you grow and achieve what you want. So I think it's really important to be able like to separate from what society is trying to do with us, because unfortunately our system of education um, makes us very like square shaped, and it doesn't want us to go outside of this frame that they built for us. Maybe sometimes they limit our creativity, they limit our out of the box thinking. And who loses at the end? Of course the world loses, because we don't have like bright talents and bright people who are ready to do fearlessly what they're meant to do. And that's why I really adore people who undergo this inner work to be truthful with themselves and with the world, and really discover what lies inside of them. And that's why I think it's fantastic that currently we have this trending, and people work on themselves, like work with psychologists, do a lot of like writing to manifest what they want and achieve a fantastic result. Because it's true, it's not like you believe in it, or if you're not believing it, it will happen anyway. So no, it's like with the sun, whether you believe in it or not, it will still revolve, and it will still shine the next day. And the same with this law of manifestation, the law of attraction. It exists, and you just need to learn how it works in order to make it work in your favor and not against you.
Now I'm thinking about just setting these kind of purposes and goals, or your purpose in your life. And I think in a lot of cases they are also suggesting to think about a purpose that is really hard to achieve. So in your life you will be always trying to reach that unreachable goal in a way, and that really motivates the others.
We have a say in Ukrainian that a soldier who doesn't dream of becoming a general is a bad one. So it's always like this in your life, that you need to have a bigger dream, like bigger than you can even think of. It's something that makes you even like grasp in awe, because you're like, wow, it's so big. But actually, like, the ones who dream that big are able to achieve these heights, because then it comes like just like to planning and breaking down it in smaller parts, then breaking down it even in smaller parts, and then you're like, actually, it's not that difficult. I will do step by step, step by step. And then you just like wake up 5 years later already, like being the CEO of a company, like saving the world, creating your own businesses, your ventures, or doing whatever you envisioned. Actually, it doesn't have to be even like something professionally related. Maybe you dream of becoming like mother of 5 kids, and you're like, you might think, wow, 5 is a lot. It's so much. I don't know how my body will handle. What about my budget? I don't know what will happen. But then you're like, okay, that's what I want, and I will work towards it. And then, like, step by step, and maybe in 10 years, you see yourself being pregnant with a sixth one, because you were dreaming big, and you are rewarded with this big with these things that happened. And that's what I feel like is very important, to set ambitious goals, because they would motivate you, and then you just break them down in smaller pieces, see that it's realistic, and slowly but steadily work towards them.
What I also want to bring in is that I also think, and I really try to, as a person who, I really like productivity. And I know that this is a word that I maybe shouldn't be, saying, because productivity can be, really hard. And I'm still working on that to say no and to say yes to being in the present, to just enjoy life. And I also think that it's really good that we are going towards our goals, but there will be some days which won't be meaningful. With what I'm saying is that not everything has to have a meaning of what you are doing. And sometimes we're going to have really rough days where we just want to lay. And we also need to allow it to ourselves, and to have that day throughout the week where we say no to all productive things, and we just immerse in nature, and we try to, recharge ourselves.
Absolutely, Gabi. It's actually crucial to be productive. To be productive is not to be productive 24/7, because
Mm.
burning out is real. Even if you do something that you like, but if you do it without weekends, without having like proper routine of having 8 hours sleep, good food that helps you like restore your energy and gives you strength to conquer this world, then you will start getting sick. You will start having like emotional disbalance, and then you would start losing interest in everything that you do, even though if it's something that you really want to do, you will lose interest, and you will just want to Netflix and chill all the time. That's why it's very important to have this work-life balance, and never have guilt for the days when you just really want to like sunbathe, just read a book, or not even read a book, just like watch TikTok and be like literally the least productive person you can imagine. Just like eat chips, watch TikTok, lay down half of the day. But if it's something that's actually relaxes you, makes you change your mind, switch from one intellectual activity to something that makes you like feel relaxed, go for it. Of course, it's not supposed to be like your habit, like every Sunday I'm gonna like watch TikTok.
Mm.
No, of course, like it's leading you nowhere. But if it's something that like temporarily gives you pleasure, why not try it? Why not have this pleasure, and not even saying like guilty pleasure, like just know that what you're doing you are fully into. Because if you will be like scrolling like Instagram and then thinking like, but I should have been like now watching a video on how to like analyze metrics in Google Analytics, and instead of like I'm watching like cute videos of cats, no, then you are not resting and you're not working, and that you're like stuck somewhere in between. If you're resting, like be fully immersed in your rest, in your relaxation, and never have guilt, because otherwise you are just like stuck in between, as I said, and it's not benefiting anyone. And another tip that maybe I want to share can help. Sometimes we have things that we do that take our energy, that takes our resource. For example, like, if we have work with a lot of meetings, with a lot of calls, it drains energy, of course, because you have to like talk to people, because you have to express your opinion, listen to them, like you experience emotions, and of course like your energy is draining. And sometimes like people who work in call centers, it's a very energy draining work to have, and there are things like this. So you need to like understand, for example, okay, I have like 10 calls per week, and it like drains my energy. So in this week I need to have 10 hours of activities that give me energy, and it should be something that makes you happy. For example, if you love cooking, if you love to spend time with your family, if you have some hobbies, for example, like horse riding, painting, dancing, you need to realize that you need to include it in your timetable. Like literally go to your Google calendar and like book slots where you will have these activities, where you will be able to enjoy. And as soon as you have this balance in your life, you lead a normal lifestyle. When you sleep properly, you eat properly, you don't have stress, you will be able to achieve a lot of things in your life. Just like remember that you are the most important person, and you will have to live in this body and in this mind till, I hope, many many years, so you have to take care of it.
This brings us to the topic of work-life balance. And what I want to talk about is that how do you find this kind of balance in between your professional personal life to ensure this balance? And I'm asking because just as the other listeners also heard, you are, quite invested in a lot of stuff, and you enjoy traveling, being active, and going here and there. And we all know that not obtaining this kind of work-life balance is something that's related to anxiety and depression. And people who work more than 55 hours every week are almost 2 times more likely to get depressed, and also around 1.7 times more likely to suffer from anxiety. So what do you do to to relax and have this kind of balance?
Yeah, it's true. And the statistics is actually said that how many people have depression based on the fact that you just said. For example, sometimes I'm even thinking about consultants in the big three, like McKinsey, Bain. And when we hear how they work, like sometimes even without weekends, 12 hours per day, I'm like, wow, we need to ask them like whether they have like a proper lifestyle and how they manage also like to relax. Because for me, yeah, it's kind of like sacred to have my weekends dedicated for me. I don't mind like to do something, like to do some urgent report or prepare for the events that we are having like on Monday or Tuesday. But weekends are sacred to spend with your family. For example, I know it's like a very popular concept, and it works like in Western Europe, like clock. It doesn't in Ukraine. I don't know, maybe Gabi, you will tell me if it's the same in Hungary, that Sundays all the shops are closed, all supermarkets closed. You just have some like emergency urgency stores where you can buy like bread, milk, water, but everyone is resting, and everyone is like staying with their families and doing things that they want, like, and they didn't have time before. It's true, right, in Hungary?
I think it used to be, or they also had this kind of. They tried to close all the stuff on Sundays, but it wasn't working in Hungary. I know that in Poland they are doing this, and yes, of course, like I think also like Christian families or these kind of countries coming from the majority of like this religion, they are definitely sacrificing in a way Sunday and saying that this is for relax. Like no one is cleaning today. I still remember my mom said on Sundays we don't clean. Like what do you think? No, of course not. And I think that this is definitely changing. to this kind of world where we can do everything on a Sunday, and see, we are recording also on a Sunday. So thank you really for coming. And it's really hard to find, for me as well, this kind of balance, because I also have my full-time job, and then I have the podcast. And when I can fully immerse myself and have these kind of very nice, valuable conversations with you, that's usually on the weekends for me, because then I can sleep and prepare and be here. I find it really difficult, but I definitely think that we should, think about this Sundays, or have those days. Maybe it's a Monday, and just have a work where you, for example, don't have meetings, if you can do that, and then just have the rest of the day for yourself, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. We should also consider people who work as freelancers, for example, who can have like
Oh yeah.
their day off on Monday, Wednesday, whenever you decide, but like have a full day when you rest is something that we don't have, for example, in Ukraine. That's why I was curious how it is in Hungary, because in Ukraine, everything is open 24/7. People are working, like we need to earn money, we need to hustle, hustle, hustle. And at first, when I was coming to live, for example, in Spain, and everything was closed on Sunday, I was furious. I was like, how is it possible? I need to do this, and that. All the things that I left for the weekend, and they're closed. But then you live there longer, and you actually start to enjoy this concept, because you see, okay, everyone deserves to rest. So you should also like pause for a second, exhale, book this massage, meet this friend for coffee, read this book, do what you wanted, like cook for the week ahead, or do things that are actually resourceful for you. And as we mentioned previous, like do things that make you feel alive, engage into your hobbies. And even if we talk not only about the weekend but also weekdays, try like to find slots when you can do it after work, before work, and put it in your calendar, like literally book slots.
Yeah.
Because if you have it in your head, like I will do it, and then first of all, it really gives you anxiety, because it's something like at the back of your head, there was something that I needed to do but I don't remember, and you overload your operational memory, like in laptops. No, just like put it down, like mark it for, I don't know, for your colleagues, for yourself, that you're busy in this period. And it's as important as this like town hall meeting or like strategy planning. It's as important, because you need to restore your energy. You need to have this work-life balance, because at the end of the day, what matters is like your health, people who are around you, like your loved ones, your family, and you, of course, like achieving your dreams. But how can you achieve them if you don't have like your health and energy? Like, so this is the vital like cornerstone, like on which everything else will be based. And I'm really happy that people start to deep dive into hacks, how to live better, longer, and more fulfilled life. It makes me super happy that we are becoming a healthier society, a healthier world. So I hope that we will continue to grow, evolve, and put ourselves and our health on the first place.
Yeah, I really hope so too. My next question is about basically the present, and I'm so curious about what is currently the subject that you are the most engaged in right now.
Of course, it's my new job that I started quite recently, is working at the embassy, because I have never worked as a diplomat before, and now I have a lot to learn. But it actually makes me super excited, because I love to learn new things, and I always keen to do so. And of course, since there is a war still ongoing, like for more than 2 years, it's I realized that it's a way for me to be helpful. And we have plenty of events planned, and it's like my main focus, and that's what I think I'm naturally good at. So like just need like some more hard skills to learn to be great at it. But of course, as you were mentioning, like I'm still like juggling like between our travel agency, family, because we again like want to expand not only to bring people to Namibia but also to Botswana. So we want to discover new things for our future clients. It's having like some side hustles that now my husband also helped me with, is like my rooibos espresso business that I had to like leave because I started to work as a governmental worker. Yeah, now I cannot do anything apart from this. Of course, it's also like leading like some social media pages, like to talk about Ukraine in Africa, and of course, as we were like already saying about like life, work-life balance is like still maintaining like my life, like. And since I moved to a new country, I'm like, okay, where can I find Pilates classes? Where can I find dance classes? Okay, I need to like continue learning French, like to actually having my routine. And I'm super happy to finally settle down in one place, because recently it's been like a lot of traveling, a lot of living with our luggages, and now I'm finally happy to like put all my stuff, all my clothes on hangers, like to know that this is my place, that's where like my safe haven is, and to finally like have my routine. It makes me super happy. But yeah, the main focus is my new job and how I will be able like to maintain this balance that we're talking about.
Sounds super exciting, and really, I'm crossing fingers for you.
Thank you, thank you. You will need to keep them for some time. I will tell you when to release them.
Okay, text me on WhatsApp. And
Deal.
regarding growth, regarding growth, I think we are all in a need to have these kind of mentors in our lives, or just people who are inspiring us. Do you have anyone who inspires you? And if not, if it's not a person, then where do you find inspiration?
I find inspiration actually in people that surround me. I must say that I'm lucky enough, not only, of course, to be inspired by powerful personas in history, for example, like Margaret Thatcher, or like powerful bloggers, I would say, that I follow. Not only people who are like far distant, successful, and I like to watch them, I like to read about them to understand how I can like put certain like traits of their character like into my behavior, but it's also like people, and especially women, who surround me. uh, I just adore those who are around me, starting from my mother, like finishing with my current boss, who's like a female ambassador, and she's like fantastic, and I learn a lot from her. But also my girlfriends, because they're very versatile. Everyone chose something different for them, but they never stop growing, even though many of them like have opportunities come like from, well, I can say like privileged families, and like they like having like great husbands who can allow them not to work, but like they still decide like to go for it, to achieve their dreams. And I'm fascinated by women who surround me, because we also support each other, always like if it's something on social media, we comment, put plenty of likes in order like to help boost the pages, media outreach, even if it's like personal conversation, to help support each other, because we understand how difficult it can be for women in this world like to achieve certain heights because of the system that we live in. So it's extremely important for women not to put other women down, but actually like celebrate this concept of empowerment. And I really think it works miracles and does like wonders, because when you have such supportive friends, you understand that actually you are not scared to do anything, and you follow your dreams, your ambitions. So yeah, it's like women that surround me, and I'm pretty sure that many people have such people around, surrounding them, who can be like role models. And yeah, I also sometimes use platforms that you can find a mentor in them. For example, I know one in Ukraine. Unfortunately, it's not international, but maybe it's a good idea to grow. But I guess you can find something like this out there. So basically, I donate a certain amount of money that would go like to help. To do humanitarian relief in Ukraine. And in exchange, the person who I selected as my mentor regarding like very specific question that I have dedicates this 1 hour to help me with my problem. But of course, like not to solve everything for me, but like just to ask certain questions to point my mind in certain directions. So it's really great to have mentors, especially like if you chose the one in this career path that you want to achieve, and like ask questions, like engaged. And I must tell you, like people love to tell their life stories. People love to teach, and they're like eager to do so. So you can even like find someone on LinkedIn or Instagram and just like text them, email them, and ask for this like coffee hour or like 30 minutes, and come like prepared with certain questions. And it's also like very helpful tool that that's managed to solve some of my issues and do it like easily without like trying to hustle on my own and still then going back to this person to ask for advice. So yeah, just like go to this person, ask for advice, talk, and it will help a lot.
You were just speaking about mentorship and the importance of it, and I really really support this what you just said, because um this is a sound of a very weird animal. What's this?
I was hoping that it would be muted, but I think it was way too loud. Sorry for that. I'm sitting, yeah, outside in the garden. I don't know. It's a super beautiful big bird that loves to scream at sunset time. I don't know its name. Here it go again. So I hope you don't mind a third guest on our podcast, because since now, yeah, it's gonna be three of us.
Lovely, lovely. So mentorship. What I wanted to say is that I highly support this idea, because I also have and had mentors, and I've been switching from one mentor to another one, which is I think totally fine. And now I am in a place where I have a really really supportive mentor who is asking me all those questions that I don't really think like any of my colleagues could ask, or family members or anyone like that. And I get those questions that are, it makes me think that what am I doing? And I was asked, for example, a question was about the past 3 months, that what am I proud of when it comes to work? What was the proudest moment? And then, like 5 seconds later, well, and you really, it makes you think about you and what you've done.
Absolutely. And the fact that sometimes we live in the autopilot mode because like we have our routine, we know what we will do, and having these deep questions that are asked by other people make us actually like think, like pause for a second and think about this to find answers. And these answers can really like shift your perception of what you're doing, of what you want to do, and you start like to take actions in order like to bring the reality closer to what you painted in your head and what you want to get.
We are approaching slowly the end of our conversation, and there is a topic that I always discuss with guests, which is this value-based living. I'm a huge advocate about values in general, and I think that it's really nice to have them for yourself, which is actually might be helpful trying to find your purpose and what you really value when you are doing something. So my question would be that what are these three values? So I shared with you Barrett's list of values, where you were asked to, well, usually the process is to find 10 values that you resonate with, then shrink it down to 5, and then 3. And then, like, the questions that you can ask yourself is, what is that I cannot live without? So, what are these three values that you cannot live without?
Actually, it was a tough task, Gabby, because yeah, you told me like to narrow it down just to three values, having like so many options, and I was like, wow, and this and that and this resonates with me. Oh my God, how will I cross this out? But then I was like, okay, can I keep five? I was like, no. She told me three. It's gonna be three. Let's not try to have more than you're allowed to in this exercise. So yeah, it was super interesting to think about it, and I was asking myself questions when I was doing it, like why did I choose it? Why is it important to me? And why did I prioritize this one over the other one? So I think it's something that we all can do. It's like super easy. Yeah, like you just Google values, spirit values, and then just like choose for yourself. Spend some time with you with your thoughts. So the ones that I have chosen to represent myself are the following: are continuous learning, future generations, and recognition. I just realized that we have already touched upon some of them, so it makes sense that I actually chose them because we can see it as some threads that goes like through what I say, through what I do. For example, continuous learning. The world is so huge, so many opportunities, so many new things to discover, and I cannot even imagine like settling down and not like learning new things. And that's what I do all the time. And I can tell you that I already bought like three or four online courses. One is about like how to do targeted ads on Meta. The other one is how to do like natural remedies based on herbs. Another one is about like public speaking, and the third one is like a cookbook with like recipes how to cook without gluten, sugar, and lactose. So like totally different things. Just finished the one about investing, like how to invest in stocks, in shares. So I feel like life is so interesting that you cannot just pause, stop, and say, okay, I already know everything about this life. Everything is clear to me. No, you just need to grow, evolve. Plus, our world is changing so fast, so dynamic with all the technology. So you cannot think that what you learned like 5 years ago in your university with your bachelor degree would still be like completely like 100% useful in the current situation. No, you need to evolve, grow, and I'm pretty sure that like you share this vision that what we learned in universities, yes, as the fundamentals, as basis is crucial and important, but some things have changed completely, so we need to keep our pace with all these changes.
Yeah, you're right. Like all of the degrees that we obtain is it helps us to get a job, but to sustain it, not necessarily. And this is where you need to think about your growth, what you like, and also try out different things and keep learning. And if it's something that you decide that okay, it's maybe not interesting for me, or this is something that I cannot invest time. So let's say it's about cooking in a certain way and following a certain diet, then that's also fine. So it's thank you for sharing it. It's very inspiring. So yeah, continue about the second one.
Yes, the second one is future generations. As I said about standing on the shoulders of the giants, it's also important for me that like my kids and future generations, people who are about to come to this planet, would also like enjoy living on this planet. That's why also like topic of sustainability is of course like also naturally dear and close to my heart, because I like also this, I think it's Indian proverb who are saying that think about this planet as not the one that we have as our property, but the one that we landed from our ancestors, and the one that we will borrow to our kids. And then you're like, ah, wow, actually, yeah, like you realize that you are not the one who will live here, like for example 80 years, and what's gonna be after me, I don't care. No, actually you should care, because it's gonna be your uh, your family who's going to be living there, your friends, future generations. So it's like very important for me personally to do what I can now for them to enjoy it later, as I enjoy the fruits of the people who were before me. And the third one is recognition. For me, it's kind of crucial and essential to know that what I'm doing is not meaningless, and to be recognized for what I'm doing, and the things that I'm achieving are actually are valued. They gonna help. They not gonna just like disappear in times, or like in one day as if they did not exist. So it's really important for me to be valued, to be heard, and to be acknowledged. And I do the same with other people. I always like try to make sure they know they're heard and I value them. I say like thank you for this impact because you did this and that and it influenced me in this way, because I really think it's important, and this in return brings accountability. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say that it's also important to me like force value, but I hope it's okay, because this recognition, when you know that when you do something, you receive your appreciation. It actually makes you accountable for things, because you know that you're responsible for what you do, and you learn to accept if things go wrong, to accept, well, not the blame or guilt, but like to learn a lesson from this and become better and do better next time. Or if everything went as planned, everything is perfect, you have deserved to be recognized, to be praised, and to hear this very valuable thank you. So yeah, to sum up, these three values are actually like make me myself, and I really think that that's what I choose all the time when I don't know like how to act in this situation. Okay, I really like try to listen to myself and to remember who I am and my values and act accordingly. So I think it's a super useful exercise that you give to your guests and that actually anyone can do.
I still find you, and I told you, you are so, so, so inspiring for me. And it keeps me, motivated to do my, side hustle, this podcast. And it keeps me motivating to not give up and just try. And if there is something wrong, then I will learn from it, right? So thank you very much again. And I also have a last, or not also, but I have the last question of this episode, which is that we all know that Ukraine is having a challenging time nowadays. And I would like to ask that if you could share on how we can support right now the current situation.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for giving me this time to share a little bit on how people can help, because it really matters to me. And the situation is unfortunately is not getting better. We're still losing a lot of people, a lot of brave, intelligent, witty people who were supposed to build our country and not die in such young and in such young age. We still lose territories. We still need help from our partners in Europe and overseas. And what you can do already now to support Ukraine and to make the victory come faster and sooner. Actually, it's basic things. You can start following the right channels that actually spread the truth, and you can follow on Instagram or Facebook channels like Ukraine UA, some medias. You can follow photographers that work in fields that share some pictures from the battlefield, because like being aware, not having like brainwashed propaganda by Russians is very important. And it like information is a resource, is what's really important, because now we're having like informational war, so it's really important to know the truth. Also, you can raise awareness by reposting some things on your social media pages. And if you think, I have 10 followers and no one cares, yes, people care. And why not be a micro or nano influencer, because you have the voice, so why not use it? And also, of course, you can, as we talked about movies, you can watch some prominent Ukrainian movies. The one actually that won the first Oscar in our history, 20 Days in Mariupol. I really recommend you to watch it. And yeah, I mean, also what I can suggest is that you buy Ukrainian products if you have in your city, in your country, support our economics by buying Ukrainian clothes. By the way, our designers are just fantastic. So I would like, for example, even Ruslan Baginsky is the one who is doing hats for royal family, for Beyonce tours. So you can Google Ruslan Baginsky, and it's not sponsored, but yeah, I really recommend from my heart. And like buy our production, buy the clothes, and support us in this way. And yeah, we would be very helpful, because every little effort counts, because we're not only fighting for peace in Ukraine, we're fighting for the peace in the world, for the third world war not to happen. And we would be really helpful if you can support us in these little ways and these little actions.
Thank you. And I think then we will definitely, or I will do a post on Instagram about this, about your recommendations, who to follow, what brands are interesting, what photographers are out there, where you can find maybe up to date information about the war. So we will definitely have on my Instagram something to share.
Perfect. That's going to be amazing. Thank you, Gabi.
Nastya, thank you. We are at the end of our conversation. So, this was, as I said, the very first English episode, and I really So, I really hope that it was valuable for the others. And yeah, I truly, truly enjoyed it. And I wish you all the best for the upcoming challenging months that you have in front of you.
Thank you very much, Gabi, for having me as your first English speaking guest. And thanks a lot for this podcast that you are doing to help others become the better version of themselves. I also wish you all the best in your future endeavors. I'm going to be following you to listen to more podcasts and episodes that's going to air soon.